Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming my August wrap up, and August ended up being a really great reading month. I think it's mostly because I did that manga night, which was a great time. I'll talk more about it soon. But I basically ended up reading 37 books. I don't know why, I don't know how. I need to stop. But I'm gonna talk through them here today, and I think my voice is gonna die. But let's go! So the first book I read for the month was Hålke by Helene Uri, which is a Norwegian adult fiction book that I read for more Norwegian books that no one cares about vlog, basically because I borrowed some at the library and I had to read them. And this one follows this couple that are iced in their house, or not iced in as there's ice outside the door. I mean it is, but they can't walk outside because they're quite old, they will fall, break their hips, etc. And then basically they just go on each other's nerves, and then the story really unravels and this character unravels. And I thought I would really like it. I heard about it since it was released in 2016. But I didn't really love it. The writing was good, but the story itself wasn't that interesting. I didn't really know what's going on. Personally, didn't love it as much. I liked it less since I read it. I think I gave it 3 stars initially, which is I guess 2.5 accurate-ish rating. But yeah, I will leave a link to that vlog down below if you're interested. And now I can finally return this to the library because I had it here just so I could show it off in this wrap-up for no reason at all. Yay! Then I finished The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan, which was the Wheel of Time book for July and June, actually, I think. But I finished it in August because I was a bit behind, but I finished it 2 days before the live show or whatever in August, but I read most of it in July. It's the 4th book in the series. We're reading the 5th one and now in September. I had a really good time. A lot of things in this happened that I have forgotten happened that early. I thought it happened much later, and it was really interesting and fun to read overall. I really like this one because some of my favorite events happen in this one because it changes a lot in the world that you kind of don't see coming, and I think it's really cool. So yeah, I had a really great time obviously with this. Then I read The Watchmaker by Gert Nygårdshaug, which was also for that Norwegian book vlog thing. Gert Nygårdshaug wrote another book I really enjoyed when I was a kid. Don't know if I enjoyed it that much now, but I had this for a million years and thought that I would read it for the vlog, and I didn't really love it at all. It was written very weird and obscure, and I kind of hated it, and I think I gave it 1 star. So I don't want to talk more about it, but it's basically about this. I said and talk more about it. It's basically about this watchmaker, and then he starts living in a different time than everyone else around him. And it sounds cool, but it was done for me in a way that I hated it, so I don't want to talk about it actually anymore. Then I read Beyond the Story, BTS, the book. I did a whole vlog reading through this, so I will leave that link down below as well. And basically it's just literally a 10-year record of BTS and their career and how it started out and what they've done in the years since. I really loved it because it's BTS, and I loved seeing their quotes, and I love following their career in a different way. Obviously people who've been there from the beginning knows all this, or not necessarily been there from the beginning, but just like to read about their career and stuff. There was a lot of stuff I didn't know, a lot of stuff I did. It was a good time, and now I read it, so now I can live forever here on my shelf. Forever. Then I read Chaos Theory by Nick Stone, which was on my TBR for the month. I ended up reading the audiobook for it because I had it on script. It was a really great audiobook with 2 narrators, Nick Stone being one of them. This was a girl and a boy that has gone through many different things, have many sad things going on in their lives. So one deals with mental health and has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, while the other one has clearly alcoholic tendencies and obviously needs to deal with this. And they meet, and maybe are they in the right place to be together, who knows. But it was really sweet, and a lot about the stigma of mental health and being support for someone and how that is and can work and cannot work, etc. And I really liked it. I really like generally Nick Stone's books. I think they're really good, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Jujutsu Kaisen volume 17 and volume 18. 18 I actually read for manga night. I am really enjoying the series. Obviously we're starting this game thing. I don't really know what's going on, but I am there for the vibes. Here we have our main character basically sawing this finger so that he has this cursed demon-like creature inside of him, and then he joins this school where they fight curses / demons, and then we have different cases and arcs where we fight them. and I basically ish soon caught up with at least the English releases, and I am having a good time. I really do enjoy it, but I also will admit that I'm very confused. But it is amazing, and I'm excited to eventually maybe catch up on the anime. Then I have This Is Personal by Lisa Esohel Knudsen, which is kind of a memoir and like a conversation about racism, that especially like a conversation that opened after George Floyd in 2020. And it was just very good. I was very impressed with how this was written. It basically just write about a lot of things that I think and feel and sometimes have a hard time putting words on. It was just done incredibly well, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I was impressed that the author is the same age as me and comes from my city, and I was like, oh my god. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it wholeheartedly for everyone to read. It's like, even if you think you know a lot about the subject, I would still read it. And there's definitely a lot of people that don't know anything that is written about in here, and they should definitely read it. But yeah, I had a, not gonna say grand time, because it was very, also of course it made me angry, and it made me angry at the world, but it was a very solid read, and I'm really glad I read it. Then I read Berserk Deluxe Edition Volume 8, and I also actually read, can I get it up at the same time? Volume 9, which I read on a manga night. And first time in history, I read 2 of them in the same month, which might repeat itself in September. And obviously it's one of my favorite things in the world. If all gets who's a swordsman, and he goes around finding these demons, and we slowly find out why, which is basically just trauma and destruction and sadness. But obviously Berserk is one of the most beautiful things I have ever laid my eyes on. It is a stunning, traumatic, bloody manga, but I love it so much. It's one of the seriously most beautiful things I ever seen, even though it is absolutely heartbreaking and absolutely terrible, but I love it a lot. And yeah, I am just continuing, kind of caught up. I have 4 deluxe edition left, and I'm terrified, and it scares me, but I love it so much. It's very heavy though. That's what I got to say, I guess. But yeah, I gave them both 5 stars. It's like my favorite manga I'm reading right now, and I don't have words of how much I love it, honestly. I am gonna post like chapter for chapter review thoughts for the Berserk things. I have like filmed them. They haven't fit in my posting schedule yet, but they will come just like they always do. It's just not before this video. Then I read The Sister of Bells by Lars Bytting. This one is like the first book in like a historical fiction by this Norwegian author, again for the Norwegian vlog. And basically follows these bells that were built in this church, and they have like kind of this legend, and then they want to pull down the church, and then someone tries to stop it, and it's kind of dramatic. And it's like, it was okay, it was well written, but I like didn't care about most of the things that happened in this. But I'm like, I guess glad I read it, because I was really curious about it, and it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't amazing either for me, so I gave it like 3 stars. Then I did a vlog where I read all the Hugo finalists for this year, like novel finalists. And the first one I read for that was the Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. So this one is set under the pandemic, and our main character needs a job, and he gets this really like obscure job, which is basically taking care of big animals, but he doesn't really know what and where and how, and he needs to sign this NDA and like go out basically not knowing even where he's going, and then you have to read a book to find out. But it was actually very sweet and wholesome, obviously a bit like Jurassic Park vibes, and I really enjoyed it. It has like a really light humoristic sense to it, whereas I didn't love the ending. It became a bit like typical. I really overall enjoyed the story, and I had a really good time. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This was not for the Yugo vlog, but I did read Concerning My Daughter by Kim Hye-jin. This one I actually listened to the audiobook for, found out it wasn't scribd, and I had it on my TBR, and the more I could do audiobook, the less it was for me to read physically. It makes everything easier. So this one follows a mother in Korea that allows her daughter to move in again with her because she's struggling economically. That was a word for me. And her daughter is also gay or a lesbian, and her mother cannot accept this. Like, she's struggling a lot with this. She has known this for years, but she cannot accept it. It's very homophobic to say it like that. But it's not like, it's a difficult book to read, but it's very interesting, because it's like, will she get understanding of this? And just the way the story is told is very interesting, and I'm getting goosebumps for some reason, I don't know why. It's very heartfelt. It kind of made me cry, and it was just very interesting. And it's also about like getting old, and like how you will be forgotten, how you will, what you will leave behind, etc. And I think it was done very well. It's such a short book. It's like 150 pages, and he managed to land these punches, and it was just done incredibly well. I really enjoyed it, actually. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like there's more I could say, but I'm probably gonna make like some kind of review for it, so look out for that, I guess. Then I read One Piece Volume 9, which obviously has been out for ages, but I'm finally caught up. I have Volume 10 as well, and I know people needed to wait after this for like, what, 4 years or something before they can continue? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. How did people wait? I have, of course, waited because I haven't read Volume 10 yet, but like, the way this ended, people read it knows, and I'm like, I don't understand. I honestly don't understand. But it was very good. I really overall liked the story. I liked the art. I like I was gonna say, the world that they have created. I think it's a great series, and I really, really enjoy it. And I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I still have not given any of them 5 stars. If it will happen, I don't know. But it was a great time. Then continuing my Yugo vlog, I did read A Spare Man by Mary Robinette Coble. So this one follows this couple that's on the honeymoon, and she's kind of also undercover because she's like an heiress to this empire industry thingy. And then a murder happens, and her husband is accused for this. So they are trying to find out like who really killed, and it's like kind of her mistake and a bit like mysterious. I didn't love it. I think like it was probably a really good book that was written really well, and I really liked the world. It was a great, like, very queer friendly world, and I really enjoyed that. But overall, I just like didn't care about the mystery and the characters and stuff. So it's a bit like meh. It was okay, 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Morena Garcia, which again was for the same vlog. And this one follows the daughter of a doctor that does these experiments, and then she's also been sick all her life basically. And then we have this dude that's kind of her assistant, not her assistant, her father's assistant. And then slowly secrets are revealed when she falls in love with this other rich dude. I didn't really find it spooky at all. A bit like eerie and creepy, but not like, oh my god, spooked by any means. It's supposed to be like, not scary, but thriller, mystery, horror thing. And I get the elements was there, but I just didn't feel it. And I was just like, when the things was real, I was like, oh, that's it. But overall, very well written. Really like the atmosphere, and I like the characters. I just didn't really see like the shockingness of like anything that happened, which I feel like it needed. But yeah, I give it like 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read One Piece Omnibus Edition 2 and 3, which again, I have filmed chapter for chapter thoughts, reactions for. I just haven't gotten to post them yet. But they will come, I swear. I tried to catch up before the live action happened. And then I realized that it was going to cover more than volume 9, because there's one more volume for East Blue. And I was like, oh my god. Because I thought for some reason they could impossibly not cover that much in 8 episodes for some reason. Well, they can, okay? I have ordered the next one, but it just hasn't arrived yet. I did watch the live action anyway. I don't know how to describe the series, but I love it dearly and deeply. And I cry like a baby in the show, and I cry like a... Not like a baby, I cried a bit in this one as well. And I love it a lot. I always knew that I was going to probably enjoy One Piece if I ever read it. But this deep emotional connection I already have, and I read about 9 volumes, which is not a lot at all. That's insane. And it's just such a good story, and I cannot believe that, like, I love it so much. Oh my god, I mean, I can believe it, but I just didn't understand. I didn't understand until now, and now I understand, and I want to hug them, and I'm happy. So yeah, it makes me incredibly happy. I think I gave this one 4 and then the last one 5, and then hopefully maybe it will just be 5 from here on out, who knows. Then I read My Father, the Panda Killer by Jamie Ju Huang. This one I have a full review on my channel, but it basically follows a daughter and her father, and then it's like flashback of like his trauma when he escaped Vietnam, and then it's her in the like present day, or actually set in 1999, so it's not present day, but in the present day of the book, how she's being traumatized by her father. And then they have a really like complex relationship, and she has a really complex relationship with like her, I was gonna say, her like identity as being Vietnamese, etc. And then she's going to college. I don't know like how to deal with this because her brother was still live with her father, etc. And it's very sad, and like has some very good moments, but also some stuff that like didn't work as well for me. But again, check out my review for more thoughts. But overall, I did like it. I think it was a solid book. I would recommend. And I think I gave it like 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Chainsaw Man Volume 2 by Tatsuki Fujimoto. So Chainsaw Man basically for this dude that has a chainsaw head. And then he's now hired to kill these like demon things. So they go out on like these missions for this agency, and his motivation for this is because he wants to touch boobs, which is a bit like, it's weird, but also it's like, I guess supposed to be funny. So I'm just rolling with vibe. I'm actually really enjoyed this much more than the first volume, and it's very like bloody and pretty cool and weird. So I don't know what more to say. I don't think it's the best thing I ever read, but I don't think it's the worst thing I ever read, because I have read worse. So I'm just going to continue the series and enjoy the ride and see where we end up here. Then I read Wall of Storms by Ken Liu. This one is the Patreon buddy pick of a series, or our series read along, I mean. And we are now in the second book in the series, which I really much more enjoyed than the first one. The first one was very confusing and a bit like, I don't really understand what's going on, a bit very like, feels like in a historical textbook. It still had a bit of that vibe here, but here I care much more about certain things that are happening. It was very interesting, and I really especially loved some scenes in the end, while like I still feel like it was very like military and a lot of like strategies and politicking that I probably didn't get, and probably other more smarter people than me really much more appreciated than I did, because I was just like, what? But it was still like solid. I really actually enjoyed it, especially as I said, the ending and like the things that evolved there. It made me like, oh my god, this is very cool. So I'm very curious now to see if I would enjoy the third book even more. But yeah, I had actually better time this time around. I'm not saying that, by the way, the Grace of Things was bad. I just think that for me, it didn't work the way it was written. Then I finished Pageboy by Elliot Page. I listened to the audiobook once again. Look at me having a good audiobook month for once. I don't have a physical copy yet. Probably get that in the future. I really love Elliot Page. I have always loved them and think that they are a great actor. I was very decided to read their book and like see if I would like it. But overall, I think that some parts of this book was very vulnerable and very sweet and like darling, sweet and touching to read about, and definitely like coming from raw and really deep and personal spaces. But I just didn't think the structure of the book worked for me. We jumped so much back and forth in time all the time, constantly. I never knew which timeline we were in. Suddenly we were kids, suddenly we were a teenager, suddenly we were like in the future where he is now, suddenly we were like in the middle, and again, and back and forth. If we just literally had kid, teenager, adult in that order, it would have been so much better, because the writing wasn't bad, and again, it was a really raw and personal story that I literally felt so much for. But there was just something about like the timeline and like how it felt like a lot of the stories were like, what you gonna say, up in the air and didn't have, why are we talking about this? I don't know, but we are coming back to it in 100 pages when we have another random flashback, and I was like, what? I loved so much of it as well, but just the structure of the story seriously like made it not an enjoyable experience, because I was confused, and I just wish we had like straight line. It would have fixed so many things. I don't know if I ever like still like loved it, favorite memoir of all time, but I had like an okay time with it overall. Elliot also reads the book himself, and the raw emotion, dang it. But yeah, I ended up giving like 3 out of 5 stars. I thought that it could have been like amazing, but it wasn't amazing to me. It was like, okay. Still, like the best memoir I read is from like a person I have never like watched anything about, but the memoir was just so good. I cannot say that word, but we are moving on. Then I read A Warning About Swans by R.M. Romero. This one I have a full review on my channel, but it's basically like a fairy tale-esque story that is told in verse, and it's about a girl who's one of 5 sisters, or 6 sisters maybe, that are swans that can turn into humans, and then she's lured away from the forest to go with this human dude, and things unravel from there. And it was very good atmosphere. The writing was absolutely stunning. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed our main character, and again, like the overall like fairy tale feel to the story. But I just like didn't care that much for the plot. I was just like, was that interesting? So yeah, I don't know, I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars ish, maybe like 3.25, because it's not like down to a 3. It's like a bit over, but not a 4. Again, more thoughts in my review. Then it was manga night, which was basically just a evening of Swans that me and Cecilia did, where we read just manga. Like, I usually read manga, of course, between every third full-length book, but it was just so fun to have like one evening reading manga. We had talked about it, where like I feel like I read manga, but like I never dedicate like certain amount of time for it, like in the same way, and it was just such a great time. I have a full vlog that I have filmed, but I haven't had time in my schedule yet, which will come. You're doing more of them, of course, so very, very excited to just dedicate more evenings to manga. I did read Berserk, as I showed you, and then Jujutsu Kaisen, and then I also read Run the Riot Volume 4 by Keito Gaku, which actually is the final one in this series, so I finished a series, yay! And it follows this trans teen that, well, it's not out in the beginning, and he's just struggling, trying to express himself and like for making other people accept him as he is. And then he starts his clothing brand with his new friends, and together that is how they express themselves, like all of them in the group. And it's a really like sweet story. There's some parts of it I didn't love, like the second and third volume, but the first and the fourth one was really great and had a good time overall. And it was a nice story. Then I started Jojo's Bizarre Adventure by Hirohiko Araki, and this is the first volume in the series. And it basically follows this dude that is adopted or taken in by this very rich family after father dies, because the rich dude owed his father a favor, and then he just basically tries to make the duke's sons or whatever as miserable as possible so that he will become the heir, it seems like. And it's just them being rivals and hating each other, and it was terrible, and it was super weird. Like, they were flying everywhere, and then there's this mask that has like sucked in their blood, and it seems like they get powers from this mask. I have no idea what's going on. It was very weird, and I will continue because that's who I am, but I'm just like, what's going on and how would this play out? And like, the art was just hilariously weird and different, and it was a good time, but I'm confused. I didn't love it, but I'm curious. I'm very curious, and these editions are pretty. I feel like I read more from Manga Night, but apparently not. The last one I read was Tomie by Junji Ito. I didn't actually finish this at the Manga Night because I didn't have any time. Time is running out of me. That's, as you can maybe tell, that sounded like I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna die, okay? But I did read Tomie, and Tomie is basically about this girl that gets brutally murdered, and then she just never dies again. She's just like a billion different places, spawning over and over and over in an evil circle, and every time like people interact with her, different spawns, terrible things happen to them. They want to murder, they want to die, they want to murder her. It's a whole thing. And then it's just many different shorter stories where like they interact with Tomie and like murder. I actually didn't love this as much as I thought I would. I thought that I would love it because like I loved Uzumaki, and I have enjoyed his other two that I read, but like not as Uzumaki. But this one I was just like, I was kind of bored after a while because the only thing that happened was that Tomie appeared, someone wanted to murder. Tomie appeared, someone wanted to murder. It didn't like give more, and I was just like, this is it, kind of. And after you reading that over and over and over, I was just kind of like, I want to move on now. I want some kind of resolution or something. But yeah, I'm not saying it was bad. It's definitely like super weird, and Junji Ito's art is absolutely stunning, and I really liked it. I just thought I would love it. So far, nothing has beaten Uzumaki yet, but like, I'm glad I read it and I had a good time with it. I just, like, as I said, didn't love it as I thought I would, and I think I would really rate manga in the same way, but I would give it like 3.5, rounding it up to 4. Then I read House of Roots and Ruin by Aaron A. Craig. This one, a full review is coming. It's just, it was already so late that I needed to push stuff around. But this is the sequel / spin-off to House of Salt and Sorrows. Follows the younger sister in that family going out on another kind of adventure. Not adventure, maybe. But yeah, she goes to this house to paint this painting, and really weird things are happening in this house. And it's very fun, very interesting. I really love how this author writes. I feel like I describe much more in my review that I have filmed of like how this differs from the other one. But the first one was basically like salt, sea, water. This is where we're like root, earthy, herbal. And it just, how the author managed to use these vibes so immaculately in his story while making this really weird as mystery, just like she did in the first one, but definitely with different elements. I don't understand how she does it, but she does it incredibly well, and I really, really enjoyed it. It had so many good parts that I really, really adored, and you really want to know what's going on here. So very, very good, and very much enjoyed it. And I was like kind of very surprised of how much I enjoyed it, because I thought that I wouldn't. So yeah, very, very good book that I would definitely recommend. Then I read Beastars Volume 21 by Parvati, which means I have one volume left, which is kind of scary. And this one, we are set in this world where beasts and prey don't eat each other anymore, and then they live in a harmonious life. And then someone at this school where our main character goes to gets actually killed, and then he's a sweet little wolf. Oh, actually he's not little, he's huge, but he's very sweet, and everyone thinks he's automatically scary because he's just a huge wolf, but he's not. He's actually the sweetest person in the world. And then a lot of shit happens in this world that you need to read to find out what. But yeah, it's really weird, but very good. Then I read I Feed the Beast and the Beast is Me by Jamison Shia. This has a full review again on my channel, and this one is set at this ballet school where they're at each other's throats to go on the top, and then our main character makes this deal with this demon-like creature to further herself, and then murder is happening and blood is happening. It is bloody, and it is really like, has a really good atmosphere of what it's doing. I wish some parts were taking more like even deeper and darker, that it felt more scarier, felt more like consequences. But overall I did really enjoy it, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And again, check on review for more thoughts. Then I randomly read In the Hand of the Goddess by Tamora Pierce. This one I had to read because I wanted to read it for the Best Wardathon, because it was like a body part and it had hand in the title. And this is the second book in the Adventures of Alana. I don't actually know. In the Song of the Lioness Quartet, it actually says on the cover. I read the first one like actually a while ago, but it basically follows Alana, who doesn't want to be like a sorcerer, which is what girls become, and her brother really wants it, so they switch places. So she goes and becomes a knight, and he goes and becomes a sorcerer, and then she gets this thing with this prince dude thing, and becomes basically his protector. And it's like also a girl, and a lot of people don't know this, but some people do know, of course know it. And then the battles plays out, etc, etc, and it is a good time. I personally enjoy them. They feel very like middle grade right now, but I do want to read everything in this world from the author eventually. I'm just getting through it very slowly. And I think you gave it like 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read House of Marionne by GL. I think a review might not be up when you watch this. I think it might be in my next video. I can't calculate that in my head right now. But this one is the next book by this author. Follows this girl that has been running away from magic all her life, but now it finally has caught up to her, and she joins this school, and where she is from the House of Marionne. She's basically the heir in this house, and her grandmother now runs it, and now she is actually there to try to get rid of her magic, but maybe she decides differently, and actually gets this thing with this dude. And it was a really, really fun and cool world. I just wish the middle part was more interesting. It was about like, I would call it rumbling, talking, stuff I didn't care that much for. But like the ending was really great, the beginning was great. I had overall a good time, and I really hope it's coming more, because I want more to see the consequences of what happened in the end of this. It was a good time, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read My Hero Academia volume 33, that was a struggle, by Koroi Horikoshi. We are in the middle of this arc that ended really fast. I thought that we would go around a bit like that longer, but basically this was all about friendship and cuteness and a great time. My Hero Academia is set in this world where 80% of the population has like a quirk or kind of like a power, and they're turned into supervillain superhero society. And then we have Midoriya, who doesn't have a quirk but maybe gets into one and starts hero school, and it's about him becoming the greatest hero of all time. And now we are far into the series, going on this journey. I think it's sad in this that we are in the last arc. But I think that's a really long one, because obviously the English releases are like 1 year behind the Japanese ones, and the Japanese ones are still running, so we at least have some couple more years here. And I'm curious to see, what do you mean last arc? We haven't done anything yet. I expect at least like 100 volumes like One Piece. We shall see, we shall see. But yeah, it is one of my babies, even though I never thought that actually it would be this long. But what did I expect from this genre actually? But yeah, I love it, okay? Then I read this one, Kingdom by Thara and Mavi, which was the buttery pick for my Patreon for July and August. That was a loading in my brain, I had to think. And this one is the first one in a series. I thought it was a duology for some reason. It is not. In this one, we have a main character who is secretly Jin, and in this world, Jin are being discriminated against, and now soon she's revealed to be maybe just more than a Jin. And then we follow Kamran, who's like the prince in this kingdom. He has just come back from like a military thingy, and now he needs to marry, and then they discover each other and stuff ravels from there. I actually had a really great time with this. I didn't think that I was gonna like it as much as I did, but it was solid. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed like the world. I really enjoyed how Thara like managed to keep back information to slowly be revealed to us, and definitely still holding back a lot of what our characters can do. And I'm very curious to see how much I will enjoy the next one and how the story will develop. While like it still feels like a very much first book in the series, whereas not a lot happened, I still had a good time, and I will give it like 3.5 out of 5 stars, which seems to be the rating for everything here. Then I read her Radient Curse by Elizabeth Lim. This one a review is coming as well, and this is the prequel to Six Crimson Cranes, and it follows these two sisters where one of them is cursed with, I guess, like ugly snake scales, and the other one is like super beautiful, and then she's gonna get married and stuff happens, and you know how this story is gonna end because Six Crimson Cranes literally tells the whole story. It's been a while since I read that, but still. And I thought, well, then will you care about this? It was so good. I loved it. I was endeared, enthralled. I couldn't stop thinking about it and reading it. I loved it so much. I don't know why. It's just something about the magicalness that Elizabeth Lim writes in her first book. Because I love Six Crimson Cranes and I love Spin It On. Didn't love the sequels to either of those. This one had all that magic that I missed in those sequels. And I loved it so much. I don't know how to describe it. Again, I will try to post a review where I talk more about why. 5 out of 5 stars. I cried. That's what I got to say. Then I read Berserk Gold by Joe Abercrombie, which is the next one to read in the first lot. It's the first standalone after the main trilogy. The first trilogy. I just don't know about these books, man. I don't think they're for me at all. I just don't like how they're written. I don't like the characters. I don't care about the plot. I don't care about anything. I don't want to talk about it even. I know people love them, and I don't feel a slight midge in my stone cold heart. I don't care. And I would give it, I don't know what I would give it. I don't know. I don't want to, I can't even like form a sentence of how I feel because I don't feel anything. So I want to move on. But yeah, I think I give it like 2 stars. Then we have The Wicked Bargain by a game called Moreau. This one was the Facing Gates pick for August. And it was great. I really, really liked it. I am so happy I did. Actually, the live store is today as I'm filming this, but I will leave a link down below for when this goes up. But basically, we have a main character that finds out that their dad made this deal with the devil to like prosper as a pirate, and then they are offered a new deal for their soul to save their dad, but they're not doing that. They're doing something else, and they go also on this journey like they're pirates. We're on the sea. I think I'm especially weak for pirates since, you know, One Piece, but it was a great story. It was a great time, and I'm very excited to talk about it. I almost cried in this one as well. Don't look at me. I became a crybaby this month, and I just overall thought it was really cool. And my characters also have like magic, so they kept that secret for a long time because then you see an upon like dealing with the devil, etc. And it was really cool. I just had some great moments. I know I'm describing it very, very badly, but my brain has now died after talking about all these books. It's fine. It's fine. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Maybe it will go higher or lower after the live. That usually tends to happen. The last read of the month became Land of the Lustrous Volume 7. This one is set in this world where people made of crystals keep breaking, and we don't know why, and they're being attacked by these Lunarians in the sky. We don't know why, and then we're trying to finally maybe figure this out. After 7 volumes, we have tried to figure this out for 7 volumes, and now maybe we're going in a different directions. I don't know. I need volume 8 to figure it out. It's really weird, but it's very interesting. It has beautiful art and interesting stuff happening. And I'm going to keep reading them until the end. So yeah, that's what I got to say. That is my pile. You can't see that, but I will show you in the thumbnail. And that is 37 books. My voice has now died. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed. I don't understand why I do this, but I just do it. I'm hoping I don't read that much in September. I shouldn't read that much. Then you're allowed to shout at me. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a diamond crystal emoji down below if you enjoyed. We should see me soon in a new video, and goodbye!